All right, so I took somebody to the airport. I have a lot of conversation with people, and this guy here, he's flying out to somebody's at the Mayo Clinic. She had a wreck and got paralyzed. She's at the Mayo Clinic getting surgery. Anyway, my point is, he was talking about how he's there to support her and trying to teach her to get herself mentally ready for surgery and trying to get healed if she can. But anyway, it goes back to something I was thinking about earlier today, where people are trying to get healthy and stay fit and stay healthy, but they forget the main part is the spiritual part. They forget, if they just read Proverbs and Psalms and the New Testament, Ephesians, if you were to memorize Ephesians and Galatians, and to memorize Colossians and a bunch of Proverbs and a bunch of Psalms, you would be so far ahead of the curve right now. I mean, yeah, Dr. Phil and all these people can get you, a bunch of these people talk about narcissism. It can boost you and boot you to the next level, but until you run to Jesus and get saved, it's not going to work. You're going to have to think of it this way. Especially if you were born in an unhealthy, unsaved, hell-bound, uncircumcised Gentile family who all it was drinking and fighting and all that, you definitely need to get your mind right. Because you have to remember, you were raised around that chaos and that stress and all that stuff and the uncertainty, and it's a part of your life and you don't even know it. But to reach out and grab for healthiness without Jesus, wholeness and healthiness, you can't achieve it. You might renew, this guy's talking about getting his mind ready. Well, it's more than just the mind. It's spiritual. It is the mind of Christ, but I'm talking about the mind of man. It's more than just the mind of man. It's the mind of Christ. You've got to get the mind of Christ. And before that, you got to get a new heart. You got to get the heart of Christ, a new heart. You must be born again. They can try all day long, get their mind right, go to doctor, get their psychology right, work on their emotions and they can work on their soul, but if they don't get the spirit right, they're just going to stay in a cycle, You have to be introspective. If you have revenge, if you have bitterness, if you live in the past, if you regret that you did this, those things that you did, don't regret them. You look back, yeah, you shouldn't have done it, but it was now, and you can see other people going that path, and you can help them if they want help. But somebody was talking today. I was listening to a conversation, and everything out of their mouth was negative and cursing and this, that, and the other, and talking about how they were fighting somebody. I said, and this man, you can talk to him. He was talking to another lady, and you can talk to this guy, and he can hear you, but he was just talking about how he was wanting to fight this guy, but this probably was something in the past. I don't think he was that way today. But I said, look, I got a question for you. He said, okay. I said, why destroy life? Why destroy a soul when you can build souls? He said, that's a good question. I said, yeah, it's a real good question. Why waste your time trying to destroy somebody? Because he was talking about people shooting each other and all that. I said, man, why destroy a soul when you can build a soul? And I didn't realize he was talking about something when he was younger. But why destroy something or somebody or whatever instead of building? You can really catch the base nature creature if you just listen. Just open your ears and listen. Because when they get on the roll, everything in them is destruction. They want to destroy instead of build up. Yes, you got to tell people they're sinners. Yes, you got to destroy their pride. You got to destroy their old Adamic pride. You got to tell them they're sinners and they're going to hell and Jesus alone saves. Yes, you've got to destroy the old Adamic pride by the word, but you can't do it, but you don't destroy a person. God tears down to build up. Like if that building was just full of mold, they'd tear it down and build it up. And so if your heart is full of mold and your mind is full of mold, it's got to be tore down to be built back up. But God does that. But if you're hanging around people who are always tearing down and wanting to fight and arguing, drama, those people are agents of destruction. They're not agents of life. Just listen to their words. Just listen to them. I feel bad sometimes about showing these people because I'm kind of being negative just to talk about these people. I don't want to be negative, but I want you to be wise to it. I mean, in other words, if you're wise to it, you can get away from it. If you've never been around it, I was raised around it. I was like, how do I get out of this? I knew something wasn't right when I was a kid. I said, something ain't right. These people ain't right. But like I say, every time you would get around, they wouldn't want you as a child. They wouldn't want you around healthy people. They only wanted you around unhealthy people. Friends, neighbors, and all your friends and neighbors were unhealthy because their parents were unhealthy. All your friends, neighbors were unhealthy because their parents were unhealthy and their people. And it's like, where are the healthy people? Where are they? Where are the ones that are investing and working hard and have goals? And, you know, I worked my way through college working all the time. I worked and went to college. And when I graduated college, I got the paper. It's hanging on the wall. Bachelor degree in math. I got the paper. But when I graduated college and I got my document, years later, a family member said, "You never graduated." I was like, what? What? What are you talking about? Almost had me believing it. So I dug down looking for the papers. I couldn't find it. So I called the university. I said, "Can you send me a transcript of my degree?" And they said, "Yeah, it's cost you $20 or 10 or whatever it was." So I finally got it in the mail. I thought, I was around gaslighters my whole life. And I was even doubting if I had my degree. That's how bad these people were around me. These are master deceivers. They gaslight you like crazy. If you're married to one, it's even worse because you're around them 24/7. If they're in your family, the phone call comes in. They're brainwashing you, and you don't even know it until you know what a narcissist is. But when you step away from these unhealthy people, I mean, these are people on the dark side, and they might even be blood. You might be related to these people and their blood, or you might be married to one, and these people are on the dark side, and the only way they can get you to think it's normal what they do is have you around them all the time. But when you separate from them, put the boundaries up, you realize these people are sick. They're gaslighters. They're liars. They have flying monkeys. They create fake realities. You want to know why our society is going crazy right now with all this cognitive dissonance? It's because there's people like me and people like you, if you have a website, and there's people like the narcissist people exposing narcissism. There's a lot of people speaking truth into the matrix. And the matrix is trying its best to censor and hide this truth. And one of the biggest games that the devil has is gaslighting. And it's in families. Okay, so here's the deal. Let me tell you something. I've talked to enough Jezebels in my life. Here's what the Jezebel does. And she'll tell you this. She'll laugh about it. She thinks it's funny. So this is before you even know she's a Jezebel. And this is before you believe the lie. She lied to you about her situation. It was so bad. And she tried to pull you in. So you're in the middle of something you didn't even know you were in. So let me just preface it with that. So you're You might be stepping into a relationship with this woman, right? And she's got all this drama, but she tries to make it look like the man that she was with was all the drama, right? So she's trying to pull you into her world. And so what is the kind of stuff she said? The phone call, she might get a phone call where you're with her and you say, I mean, I wouldn't even be around this kind of person. I would see the red flags like this. I wouldn't even be around this person to listen to their phone call. But let's say you're with her and the phone call comes in and the ex is trying to say something. First of all, why is he calling her? Second of all, she tells him a lie while you're sitting there and you say, did you just lie? Yeah. I said, why? I said, don't you know that's so obvious. How could he not see that you're lying? Well, he believes the lie because here's what they say. And I've heard this from a few of them. They believe the lie because they love me. I'm going to let you let that sink in. So it don't have to be dating relationship, but it could be family. You believe the lie because you love that family member. You believe the lie because you love that person. It don't even have to be dating or marriage. It could just be friends or it could be family or whatever. In-laws, outlaws, whatever. You believe the lie because you love that person. And you see a lot of parents believe the lie of the child because they love the child, and the child's going out here doing evil. And my kid would never do that. And then the kids grow up with a person you see this in court cases. The children are like, why did my dad kill my mom? Or why did my mom kill my dad? I don't believe that she did that. How could she do that? Because they love their parent, but they didn't, because they love, they're blind. What's that saying? Love is blind. Well, when you wake up and you admit what the Bible says, let God be true and every man a liar. So when you wake up and you realize, hey, every human being is just a human. And if you're blinded by love, and I'm not talking about agape love, I'm talking about emotional up and down. If you're blinded by seeing what's coming out of their mouth, they're gaslighting you, they're messing with you, manipulating you. And if you can't see that because you're blinded by love, you're part of the fake reality. And this is going on all the time. I know it's going on all the time because there's nothing new under the sun. And what shall be has been, what has been shall be. Even though I'm not around them, I don't believe their lies. I'm sure it's happening to people all the time, everywhere, all the time. Everything, everywhere, all the time. And I know it's true because if I go into this job and there's a employee in here and they're trying to strive to be the manager and they're feeding them a bunch of lies. Well, if you're going to make this money, but they don't realize they're going to be working 80 hours a week. So they might make good money, but they're only making $5 an hour because they've been lied to and drawn in by a gaslighting salesperson. My point is, you have to get healthy, body, soul, spirit. It can't just be one thing. It's a multitude of things that you've got to work on, and it don't happen overnight. Especially if you're raised around a bunch of insanity. And so this experience down here is body, soul, and spirit, not just one. So in the will, the emotions, the intellect are the soul. But you gotta have body, soul, and spirit that you're working on. You can't just have an unbalance and say, I'm just gonna get my mind right. It's more than just that. It's getting the whole package right.